Welcome back to BYOB. Bring your own book, the book club for busybodies. I'm Nicole, and we just shared a little bit about why we joined a book club and also who we are. And this particular round is pretty interesting because, for one, I'm just grateful that we've been able to keep the book convo going. So, due to this virtual space, we have the opportunity to, of course, it's going to be different from our meetup physically, but we have the opportunity to still keep the essence of the group intact. So with that being said, this round is what we call getting to know our books round. So round one, I want us to share just a couple of things. One would be, what made you, of all the books in the world, bring this particular one? So give us a quick summary, and then just some tidbits about what you found to be your favorite and least favorite part of the book. Okay, so I didn't know who wanted to go first. Did anybody want to jump in, or y'all want me to start? I'll start us off. So I actually brought in the one thing, the surprisingly simple truth behind extraordinary results. And this particular book, I brought it because I actually found it by accident. I go into bookstores kind of not necessarily knowing what I'm going in for, but just kind of letting the opportunity be there. And I was actually paying homage to Rice Village's half price books, because I found out in time that they were going out of business, and we know that's a historical bookstore in Houston. And I was really upset, and I was glad that I caught it right on its last legs. So one thing that really got me excited was everything pretty much was on sale, and so I had to really kind of hold back. But this particular book, I heard someone talking about it in the media, and it resonated with me because it went against kind of the theory that I believe in, which is I don't always have the luxury to narrow my to-do list to one thing. But what this book is doing is asking this question of, what is the one thing that you feel you're moving towards your goal? What's so imperative that you achieve this one thing? And so it kind of challenged me to, although I know I have a lot of things like many people to take care of, it challenged me to just fine tune and align myself to this one idea. So my favorite part was, just asking myself monthly, weekly, daily, what is it that I can do? Or actually, they want you to be in the moment asking yourself, does this align to the big idea? And so I did find that to be helpful for me to just kind of sit back and say, what did I just do? Or what do I have on my calendar? Is this going to put me on the path to that one thing that I'm building towards? So it's just kind of like a brick building exercise along the way. So that was really great. Now, the least favorite part, I did feel like, and it's not really a bad thing, but I did feel like some of the takeaways were, and I know what the takeaways are there for, but it felt a little redundant. And I wish it had been maybe either not there or just a little, it could have been worded differently. But just in general, it was a pretty much overall good self-help book for somebody who's wanting to always better themselves.
Okay, so you guys, the book that I chose is actually on my Kindle, so you probably can't see it. I hope you can. But it's called God in Business, and there are several different authors. So it's a bunch of different contributing authors that chipped in on this book. And faith is the deciding factor. The thing I really liked about it is because it speaks to business owners and new entrepreneurs. And I think that the journey that you go on when you are trying to transition to starting a business, or trying to make that decision on if I'm going to go from quitting my job and just branch out and take that leap of faith. And so they share a bunch of different stories about their personal experience and accounts on how they got to where they are, and different times that they were tested, which is pretty much the season that I'm in right now. So I felt like this was something that would be helpful. As far as things that I didn't like, there really wasn't anything I didn't like. I would just probably add something at the back with different tips and tricks and stuff for new entrepreneurs.
I'll go next. The book that I brought is, you guys can see it, is Where the Crawdads Sing. And it's a newer book for me. I'm just on the first chapter of the book. And I really, really like how the book is set up. It has like two timelines. And she does a really good job of like bringing those timelines together. And she has like maps and locations. And so she really puts you into the story. And I originally chose the book because in my class, we're writing our screenplays right now. And so she talks a lot about nature and connecting nature. And the stories that I do tell has a lot to do with earth and nature and bringing God into that. And so that's what originally got my attention about this book. So hopefully when we come back, I'll have more to share about it. But I heard it's a really good book. So I'm ready to get into it. So
okay,
Hi.
I'll go next.
Okay, go ahead.
Oh no, go, please go, Felisa.
No problem. Thank you. Hi. The book that I have, I don't know if you can see it a little bit. It's on my phone. It's actually The 7 Spiritual Laws of Success. By Deepak Chopra. What made me bring this book? I'm in a time of my life where I am searching for my purpose. And when I was invited to the BYOB book club for busybodies, it made me think about my life and my goals. So I then reflected back to attending Oprah's The Life You Want tour in 2014 and remember the session with Deepak Chopra, where he talked about his book, 7 Spiritual Laws of Success. And when I was reading the book, these laws are a process to help you manifest your dreams through your spirit, mind, and body, and not dealing with many material things. And what I liked about the book is that all the laws were practical and easy to do daily. My favorite law was the 7th law, which is the law of Dharma, which is the purpose in life. And what I took away from that was that each of us is here to find our spiritual life. We all have unique gifts and talents, and we're here to service humanity. And I took that away and think about it every day. How can I help? How can I serve? What can I do to help someone else? Thank you.
Okay, so I chose Love Warrior, and I actually found it in a juice store. I was waiting for my juice to be made, and I was being nosy, and the cover caught my attention. And if you can tell, it's a heart, but it's really a woman kind of soaring. So being someone that's drawn to graphic art, and then I saw the Oprah seal of approval, so I bought it. But I really enjoyed this book. It is the memoir of Glennon Doyle, and it's, I guess, the first half of her life. And with that, she speaks to a lot of things that spoke to my heart, actually. I guess when they say you're going through certain things, you're drawn to things that help you out. And this book actually brought a lot of light to my life. The one thing that I didn't like is probably, I joke around and say, well, God's probably looking down and saying, well, my life, like, girl, get it together. You don't have to go through that again. You're fine. You're good. Or like, not this again. We already worked through this. So it makes you really pause and take a look at your own life, and the same words of encouragement that you want to give to her at that point in her life, I noticed that I started giving to myself. So if you're into memoir style writing, I would really suggest you pick up a copy.
Okay, that sounds really reflective.
I wanted to wait for Zerlene to go because I've got the next memoir from Glennon Doyle.
Oh, I figured.
Yeah, it's Untamed. And I hate to say too much about the book because it's at a point where Glennon Doyle just really has a transformation that happens in her life. So Zerlene will get to that at the end of the book. But the first half of it for me was a little repetitive. She still has good ideas, but I got a little bit frustrated, I think, with her contradictions from the first book to this book. But then I think that it really shows how we all, our truth changes. So she had a truth, 10 years ago or however long it was when she wrote the other book, and her truth has shifted now. So, and I think it's okay for our truth to change.
Awesome. I have a question about that a little bit later. I want to save it.
The book that I'm reading is Pathway to Purpose for Women. And I guess I stumbled across it from a family member. But just the title, it says connecting your to-do list, your passions, and God's purposes for your life. Kind of like how we always are constantly going through things, transforming. Our purpose can change. It's not just our fellowship, our discipleship, our evangelism, but our inner purpose, just making sure that we are constantly self-reflecting, reading our Bible. I like mostly about this book is that it had a lot of self-assessment and it had a lot of Bible exploration. So it was it's been a good read. I've enjoyed reading it. The one thing I would say is I felt like it may not have been I can relate to just as a woman, but some things were not as, what's the word? Maybe connecting to me as much. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Who was the author again?
Katie Brazelton.
All right. Thank you, Michelle. And now, Kiana, you ready?
Yeah, okay. I'll hop on in. Hopefully you all can hear me the whole time because I'm a little glitchy over here. I actually brought in what I'm currently reading. So I'm working my way through Beloved by Toni Morrison. And I brought this one in because it's a book that has been on my to-read list for a long time. And you know how you keep adding books to your list and then they kind of sometimes get, pushed back. So I kept pushing it further down the list because of priorities and work and school assignments. And so now I'm reading it and I'm finding it to be really intense. It is a historical fiction book, but also a ghost story. So that's an interesting, combination. I think the last time I read something like this, it was Kindred by Octavia Butler, at least that, combined the historical fiction and the ghost story. And so it's really intense. It takes a really raw look at slavery. And so I'm finding myself going back and forth between not being able to put it down and then not being able to pick it back up because I'll read it and then I actually find myself restless because it's giving me so much to think about and the imagery is so strong and powerful. I don't know that there's anything I don't like, but what I find makes the book much more complex is that it's told through a lot of layered flashbacks. So things are really out of sequence. And so it's kind of like, you have to stop and think about, okay, when did this happen? Oh, now she's back, on this part. I don't dislike that, but it does make the read, a lot more complex.
Okay, interesting. So yes, Toni Morrison, we know her to be the late, great Toni Morrison. So that was pretty much part one for round one. So just some really soul stirring reads and, really infusing the idea of who are you? What are you here to do? How are you going to serve? I mean, that's amazing to, keep that question on the forefront of your mind. And so what I want us to do is grab our favorite quotes from the book. And if any questions have come from hearing about each other's books, this will be the time to share as well. So you don't want to miss this. We'll be right back after these messages.